you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. Today we're going to talk about an arcade port of a game that was released by a little company called Nichibutsu, but their arcade arm, their video game arm, was called Nichibutsu. I don't know what Nichibutsu means, but it does sound cool. Nichibutsu. Now, this game has like some of the most generic graphics on the NES, but generic doesn't necessarily mean bad. And yeah, this game ain't bad. It's just it suffers from just being real generic in 1988 in a time where a bunch of really cool stuff had already come out. Though, I mean, I get it. The original arcade game came out in 1984, and I want to say it got released on the Famicom in 1986. So, victim of time, I guess. Lots of games. It happened to a lot of games. And if this looks familiar to you, it's because Nichibutsu also released Magmax, which we talked about earlier this year, which is also remarkably generic, but still kind of fun. Yeah. Today, we're going to take a look at Seicross. Seicross? Seicross. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. Seicross. Now, in Seicross, you are attempting to rescue other members of your alien race, which is designated by blue people. They're blue people. You rescue all the blue people, and you're fighting off the other riders. You're dodging obstacles. You're taking out these dinosaur tanks, and you gotta destroy the heads when they fly off. Stuff like that. There's also a bunch of different power-ups you can collect. You bump enemies and you lose energy. And there are these little radioactive, these discs with this little radiation symbol on them. You collect those to refill your energy, which you definitely need to do. But yeah, this game is not a bad game. Like I said, it just came out at a bad time. Had this come out here in the States around 1987, this would have been a much bigger deal than it ended up being. But in 1988, by that point, as far as racing games, we had already gotten Rad Racer. Rad Racer, and this was around the same time, 1988, was the year RC Pro-Am came out. So we already had the two pinnacles of racing games on the NES. We had loads of really good action games. I want to say Jackal came out around this time. So for vehicular combat, Jackal at the time was the high water mark. Iron Tank had come out. Lots of really good stuff. So by this point, Seicross got lost in the shuffle, much like Magmax did. And the fact that they looked so dated because of when they came out, they both really just, they had a hard time. But such was the case with a lot of stuff published by FCI. FCI had bad timing. They suffered mightily from bad timing. And it ain't nobody's fault. It's just, that's just the way it went. But yeah, just because this game looks generic and just looks dated doesn't mean that it was a bad game. It just, again, just suffered from bad timing. But yeah, I like Seicross. I like it a lot. Probably gonna end up go somewhere and grab me a copy, because if you are curious about getting a copy of Seicross, you can get a copy for under $10. Yeah, it's pretty, for something that looks as with the unique box art that it has and stuff like that. I wouldn't say that that little stamp on the box that says Arcade Classic is completely accurate, but it's a solid video game. And so for about somewhere between $4 and $10, this was a good pickup. Also, one more thing about the game before I forget. You rescue these little blue dudes. You pick them up, right? If you pick up too many of them, you start losing health. So that's something to keep in mind while you're playing through this and trying to rescue everybody. You can't rescue everybody. I feel like that's a metaphor for life. You can't rescue everybody. You can't save them all. But hey, what you gonna do, huh? This has been the 8-Bit Animal. And I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow. Tomorrow. Yeah, so this Church Zelda and the person that did the artwork don't know how armor works.